Hi, I'm Tom Bivens. I am the housekeeping manager here at the Forest at Duke, and I'm ready to tell my story, I guess. Epiphany. Epiphany is not a word I think that you use too much when you're 10 years old, but I guess if that was the case, that might have been the only way I could describe it. Or maybe it was just a deep understanding of how life is at 10-year-olds. But whatever it is, it was etched in my mind, this story, something that I won't forget. Let me start from the beginning. I grew up in a town by the name of Ottumwa, Iowa. It's a somewhat small town, about 25,000 people. A river runs right through it. The Des Moines River runs right through town. One high school, two what they called junior highs at the time, I guess a number of elementary schools. But when I was 10 years old, we had our normal friends that we had, neighborhood friends. My good buddies, Ricky and Roger Bailey, and my best friend Tom Carr and John Ridge. We would hang around. I would call my childhood a cross between Tom Sawyer and there's a movie called The Sandlot that kind of reminds me of it a little bit. That would be my explanation for my childhood. Ottumwa was a town that was in southeast Iowa that was kind of the big town of that area. But in terms of, the whole world, it was, a pretty small place. Of course, when you grow up in a town like that, you think that's just a big town and you live in the big town. Growing up there, I had three siblings. I had two sisters and a brother. They were all older than I was. By the time I was 10, they were gone from the house pretty much. They had either went to school or left, and one of my sisters ran away. She did end up coming back, and we had a pretty good childhood. We always went on family vacations, those kinds of things that a family normally does. My dad worked for the John Deere company for 30 years, helping to make combines. My mom worked for the waterworks, which was right next to the river. I can so see that town now, just people lining up along the bridge trying to catch fish during the summertime, springtime. Just some different unique things about the town that I remember very vividly. But one night, one of the things that we liked to do in the neighborhood when I was a kid was we'd get together and we'd have a baseball game. I would say Ottumwa was kind of a baseball town in a way. We had a lot of baseball going on there. And sometimes we'd play wiffle ball. Anyway, my favorite was always football, but I played all the sports. I love sports a lot. One of the things that me and my friends liked to do also was go back to the creek, we called it. Well, it's not really creek. Later I found it was called creek. You go back to the creek. Back in the creek there was a lot of woods. We would play all kinds of games back there. We'd go down this lane called Brinniger's Lane, which if you can picture it, it is a long gravel road about a half a mile long, and it ends at Farmer Brinniger's Lane, ends at his farm. But on the way there is a hill, or there's a deep incline, and then there's a creek down there, and there's tons of woods where kids can play. So me and my buddies, we would always go back there. We were Lewis and Clark. We were the Army guys. We were the Marines. Whatever we could think of, we would just imagine that that's who we were. We had good imagination back then. Maybe not like the same day today where we're constantly being bombarded by games and stuff. But anyway, it was a fun time. I had a good childhood with that. Well, what happened one day was we had a situation where all the friends in the neighborhood wanted to make a scoreboard for the wiffle ball / baseball league that we sometimes play in a field that we had. So we got ourselves a big piece of plywood, and we were downstairs in, I can't remember whose house it was, but it was in the basement, and we were painting this new scoreboard with all 9 innings on it. And of course, you're either going to be on the Red Sox or you're going to be on the Yankees. Those are the 2 teams that we have decided to have. So we had Red Sox and we had Yankees on the scoreboard, and we were painting away. And it got to be that we were there for quite a long time. It took us a long time to really start, painting this whole thing. Well, what I didn't know was that there was something that happened that night. And I had not previously told my parents where I was at. And it wasn't that uncommon that I wouldn't do that. I think back in those days, pretty much it was, it was fairly safe. You ran to a buddy's house, you went to a friend's house, you were outside playing, you were doing something. But what happened that particular night made things change a little bit for me. The school that I went to was one of those huge brick, square schools that went straight up about 4 or 5 stories. Old time school had the pipes that ran through it with the coal burning stove, and that's the first school that I went to. And there was a bad accident in front of that school that evening that I was downstairs painting with my friends. And what had happened was a drunk driver came down the road on the wrong side of the road and came over a little incline, which was actually a creek, which was a little bridge, and he smashed into 4 kids who were on a bicycle. Those kids were almost killed instantly when they got hit. One of the girls was riding on the handlebars of another person who was riding the bike. So you can imagine the scene there. Very bad situation. Well, my parents at home hadn't known where I was at. So in their mind, they're thinking, oh my gosh, where's Tom? Where's he at? And of course, I didn't call. I didn't know. Of course, I didn't know what was going on. But as soon as I got home, boy, did I find out. I got the type of licking that you would get in those days. My father grabbed a tree branch and he gave me a licking for not telling where I was. And I couldn't figure out why I was getting this, because I thought it was more of a normal thing, although it was past my bedtime at the time that I came home, because I came home too late. I didn't realize what time it was. And they gave me a good licking that day because I wasn't home, and partially because they were worried that I had gotten hit by that car, that it was somebody that came and killed me. So I understood later in life why I got that so badly. I remember waking up the next morning after that and seeing those sticks that I got whipped with on the previous night sitting in the trash can. I learned something on that. Make sure you tell your parents where you're at, and that's the most important thing. And the other thing is, life is fragile. It can be fragile. Everything can change in an instant. It was a school day the day afterwards, and as I'm walking to school, me and my buddies crossed that little bridge, and we looked down, and we knew that there was an accident. But what was etched in my mind was the fact that they had outlined those bodies with chalk where they landed. And that's something I will never forget. And so, I guess if there's anything about the story that you can take from is, obviously tell your parents where you're at. And also, like I said, anything can happen in an instant. And those things that are etched in your mind are probably there for a reason, to tell you something. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a great day. Thank you.